Hello, brothers and sisters. The title of the message today is Being Led by the Hand of the Lord. Subtitle number 4, Church, the Beginning of the Construction. After we came out from Campus Crusade, we started a fellowship at the second floor of Hwang Jue's shoe store near the junction of Yeongnam University. We moved 10 times. We ended up with Gachang Yonggeri. It took about 30 years to get here. When our fellowship place was in Songhyun-dong, the place was too narrow. We were worried as we couldn't accommodate that many people in that small area. Sister Duckson one day said in front of the church, I wanted to build a church, but building alone, I couldn't do that. If brothers and sisters help me, I want to buy the land, I will build hospital and church together. She asked for brothers' help. I could not afford to think I could build a church up to that time, and other brothers also couldn't afford it. We saved up some money and moved one place to another to pay for the key money for rent. We were busy. In fact, there was no rich man in our church. We have never thought about that, but as Duckson's sister said, we felt at a loss. We didn't know what to do. I always thought it would be very nice if one rich man appears and can offer enough money and build a church alone. From that time on, I began to offer money to help build our church. Brothers gathered money around 100 million won and gave it to Sister Duckson. She put her own money with that offering and purchased a piece of land in Songhyun-dong, 330.58 square meters. We have never thought about it before. As things became different, we sold that land. We moved to another place, but her suggestion triggered offering for the church construction, and that gave us an important meaning. I did not want to suggest brothers to offer money to build our church building. I always thought as long as I have a small space that I can sit down, that's enough. I don't need no more room. In fact, saving up money and building our church, that is not an easy matter. So many churches fight among themselves and become divided as they save money and build their church buildings. It's not quiet. There are so many complicated conflicts. I know that. I didn't want to even start that conflict from the beginning in our church. But in our church, money was saved up so smoothly somehow. One day, Brother Kook Pyong-song suggested me purchase a piece of land in Songso Industrial Complex area. He purchased the land about 900 square meters. It was beyond our imagination. We barely rent a small space in Hand Fellowship, but suddenly we were able to purchase a big land. We were all proud of ourselves. We felt so much delighted. But my lung was so poor as we moved to a basement, the small area, and the air was not fresh and clean. Brothers said that industrial complex is not so good. I agreed with them. We said we have to check the land around suburban area. We checked here and there. We sold the land in Songso and we purchased the land, the present place, Dalsunggun Gachangmen Yonggeri, through auction. This place was one of the best places in Daegu area, but there were some problems to solve with this land, so the construction was postponed for 10 years. It was the high school dormitory before. The scenery was so beautiful, we didn't think about problems, but in reality, there were some problems to solve until the completion toward the construction. As we didn't have any experience of constructing church, it was quite natural But we wish that the church would bring us happiness, not the conflict. Any kind of construction is difficult. The materials for the construction of the kingdom of heaven are prepared by God, but people's cooperation is absolutely necessary. Satan tenaciously interrupted construction. God gave Israel Isaac as the seed, but there was the problem in construction. The resurrection life came through Jesus, but as church is constructed with people, there were so many problems in the church. The war in the heaven was concluded through the war between Jesus and Satan, but the construction of church must be completed on the earth. The war is still continued on. The war between Satan and Jesus is just between the two, but the construction of the church must be completed by the cooperation and participation of many people. It is more complicated. But the purpose of God's creation and redemption is the construction. As this holy construction is completed and fight against the construction of Satan's Babel, the Lord needs those characters that God can use only according to his will after receiving redemption through the cross. Church must be constructed in a beautiful way. Through the substantial construction, the construction of character must be fulfilled, and through the construction of character, substantial church must be used and utilized. In that construction, each individual will be able to see their own identity and glory. We all led by the hand of the Lord and came here. The beginning of the construction was started outside of our thoughts. Not only that, I did not emphasize the importance of offering money to church. We did not have any rich people in our church. I did not force brothers to offer money, but a miracle took place in our church. The only one who made some money was Dr. Koo Pyung-song and Sister Duckson in our church, who were running a small hospital. They collected money for the construction of the church, and money grew bigger and bigger like a snowball beyond our imagination. We got our land through auction. The mountain area, 1,600 square meters, flat land, 1,600 square meters, total 3,300 square meters. For this work, brothers and sisters took part in with joyful heart. Especially young brothers offered money that they saved in order to buy a new house, and they stayed at the rent house. They planned to buy a new house was postponed. After constructing the church, I hope they can buy a new house as soon as possible. Only then I can get the peace in my mind. Our land commanded a fine view, but as the land is tilted, we couldn't build it little by little, but we have to build it all at once. We need money all at once also. This became a burden to me. Some churches, they lay foundation and they collect money and construct slowly and gradually and finish constructing as they collect more and more money from the church members. Or they loan money from the bank, pay the interest, and after finishing construction, they pay off later. And those gradual paying off makes the pastor as if their blood is becoming dried up. And because of offering money, church would become divided and fight. There's a lot of conflicts. The pastor, who was very famous in Korea, he had a very strong faith, even though the fact he also wanted to jump down from the steeple of the church and commit suicide. He thought about it so many times, how painful it was, so that's why. But I have no faith. My faith is just like a small grain of millet. If I am involved in such a thing, I cannot predict what's going to happen. What's going to happen to my health? I don't know. It's so burdensome. I always thought I have to prepare enough money for the construction in our bank account first, then I'll start the construction. To construct a church is not an easy matter. I was taking pains, but I could not waste time any longer. This is our mind, our flag. I thought so many brothers and sisters living in Korea and abroad, church should be the symbol of our power. Inevitably, I thought we have to build our church as a fortress of our gospel, the victory of our gospel. That's why we need a church building. But if anything happens telling us this is not desirable, I was ready to stop or change our plan. All through my life, all through history of the church, everything was touched by Lord's hand. Nothing was done according to my will even once. I felt so calm. Lord always moved before us. We praise the Lord and His work. In this construction, we'll just follow Him. We'll just watch quietly what God is doing. We'll just be prepared to obey. Eventually, He will receive our praise. Subtitle number 5, the expansion of the local church. I don't remember exactly about the year and date, and my story may not be well organized, but my life is full of unexpected things and things that I could not predict or expected earlier, but I turn thanks to the Lord anyway. I have never thought about churches would appear in various districts. After the fellowship in Daegu was started, not long ago, I started visitation ministry. It was so mysterious. Chungju City with a place where I used to work for Campus Crusade for 2 years. As I moved down to Daegu, the fellowship was scattered, so I had to visit there regularly. Chuncheon City, we had a retreat at the mountain hut there. Students left Campus Crusade and visited me to Chechen City and asked me to visit there. So the visitation was started. The brother Wangyu Park was a college student in Kyunghee University. He took part in Moongyung Kwanmun retreat, went up to Seoul, started the Seoul Fellowship with brother Hee-dong Kim, who was a middle school student in front of the Kyunghee University. At first, they had fellowship here and there in the college campus, but Hee-dong's mother took part in the Moongyung retreat. She got the enlightenment, supported brother Wangyu to get a fellowship place near Huigyang Station. Brother Wangyu get a fellowship place near at his rent room. Brother Wangyu met Sister Kyung-in Park, who was the senior year student at Sungmyeong Women's University. And after graduation, she moved down to Daegu. Near my home, we lived just like relatives. Later, Sister Eugene Lee and Kyung-hae Han and Shin-hae Han, Myung-hwa He, and some more brothers and moved to Seoul. Fellowship place was moved to Seokkwandong. Brother Sun-taek, who used to be the Army Sergeant First Class, heard the gospel from Brother HyunRaiLee's second lieutenant in the Army, but they both were retired. Brother Kyung-sub-kwon, who was working at the confectionery store, joined in fellowship. I remember the house was packed with brothers and sisters. Brother Pong-gyun Lee, who got a job in a lottery company, and he married with Sister Kim Suk-bae, and their marriage was the first marriage in Seoul area. A little later, Brother Won Sun-hong, Dong Sub-yun, Sung-gyu Lee from Chuncheon City joined together. They got a job at the Yeongchang Piano Manufacturing Company in Incheon. To make their commuting become easy, we moved to Noryangjin. Later, Reverend Eui-jun Kim allowed us to use his church in Pomundong, so we had fellowship there for the time being. Passed through Jamsil, we moved to Yangjae, where Sister Eunju Park was living. We borrowed the children's art school just for evening time for our fellowship. At Yeoksamdong, we borrowed one basement and fellowship because Brother Heshik Kim and Sister Hyunbae Seo were living in Yangjae-dong. Brother Sung Soo Jung and some more brothers gathered in the Anyang area, and the Anyang church was started. So our church moved from Yeoksamdong to Shinrimdong in front of the Seoul National University. Then we moved to Sadangdong as Sister Soon Hee Kang introduced us to the owner of the building. But later we again moved to Gwacheon. We moved so many times from private homes to office building and to separate the fellowship places. So many brothers and sisters joined. Brother Woo Seok-chun, Sakdal Hong, Keun-sik Lee, Sun-taek Woo, Chang-young Lee, Hwang Soo-che, Joo-hyung Lee, Seok-yeon Hwang, Kim and Park, Park Sung, Sung Soo-chung, Hyun-wook Kim, and Sister Hae-sun Kim, and many other people. As brothers and sisters got a job in Seoul area, they gathered at the fellowship places and naturally shared living together as a group and as one community. In order to support the community life, Sister Yoo Jin Lee and Kyung-hye Han, Shin-hye Han supplied food for them and cooked for them. Most of them moved down to Daegu later. Some moved to Chungju. Wherever brothers and sisters may go, they started the church right there. Thank you. Hallelujah. May God bless every one of you. Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you.